Let's go.
What a lovely day!
Andy, there's a whole world out there. Jump in.
Can you dig it?
Yeah.
You must always pay strict attention.
I was just completely enamored by it the entire time.
Dude, he did not have to go that hard.
I know, man. Isn't it wild?
The Jared Cast.
So it begins.
I miss the old Jared. Straight from the go, Jared. Chop up the soul, Jared. Sit on his goals, Jared. I'm tempted to do the whole song, but I'm not gonna.
You should have.
I'm not gonna subject you to that.
write a full parody that every bar is about us.
No, my roommates had that song memorized, and they would just do that to me. They're like, "I miss the old Jared." I'm like, dude,
That's
shut
awesome.
up. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Jared Cast. I am, as you may have guessed, Jared.
What?
My name is Jared A. With me is Jared L. How you doing today, Jared L?
I am pretty good. I finally get days off starting like tomorrow, which is pretty sick. Made some bomb ass soup yesterday, and I had another bowl before recording. So I'm just jazzed and ready. How about you? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Let's see what's going on. I just got really fired up. My friend sent me this thing, this video. It was like number one on YouTube trending for a couple days, and it was like Brandon Sanderson. Do you know who this guy is?
No.
So I've only heard of him like just people recommending his books, but I haven't read his books yet. But he created this whole fantasy universe, and he apparently has like one of the best magic systems in all of fantasy fiction. But he put out this video, and he was like, he's like making a confession to his fans. He's like, "I'm sorry, guys. The reason I've been absent is because I've been writing 5 novels," and he just went absolutely nutsy cuckoo in the pandemic. And so he just like threw all the novels on his desk. I was like, dude, what is wrong with this dude? But it got me like fired up. Like what's my excuse, you know? So I just immediately started writing after I watched that video.
Damn. Maybe I've been lacking motivation, so maybe I need to get on that too.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So it's been cool. It's been cool, and I'm trying to find a good copy of Mistborn, which is the one that the novel that everybody talks about. Yeah, but speaking of popular writers, this guy is way much more than that. We're talking today about the one and only Kanye West, now going by Ye West. Yeah, man. The Genius, a Kanye trilogy. By documentary by Netflix just finished on Wednesday, so we are here on Friday talking about it, and I'm very excited. What was your like? But I guess before we do top 5, like, what were your like expectations going in, like, to the thing?
I don't know, because I heard some buzz about it for Sundance.
Yeah.
And I tried to like get in on the online screening where they would just show all 3 back to back to back.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. I was like working during it or something. And so that was like all the expectation I had. I was like, well, it's got to be good enough for Sundance. 3 parts seems a bit much, but we'll see where it takes us, kind of attitude. And that's pretty much where I stand now before giving spoilers on how I feel. How about you?
I think like with everything Ye related, like I roll my eyes at first.
Yeah.
And then I give it a chance and I end up loving it. So I don't know. Like well, we'll talk about it for sure. Yeah. Because I've had that kind of relationship with most of his, or with like about half of his albums, and but his music has always been very influential to me, and so I had that much excitement going for it. Like, at least that much excitement going for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, before that, we got an interesting top 5 because it's not movie related for once.
No, we went music related, which feels appropriate. We are talking about one of the most celebrated rappers in history, so we thought we'd give a little attention to some less celebrated rappers. We're gonna drop our top 5 underrated rappers. Give you guys some listening material. Maybe you're on a rap kick after watching Jeen-Yuhs. I'm sure all of these, if not most of these, are somewhat influenced in some way by Kanye, depending on how old they are. And so I'm excited. I'm real excited to hear your list. I feel like outside of Lil Sims and some K-pop, I don't really get to hear Jared talking about rap much. So
Yeah.
why don't you start us off?
Cool. Yeah. My number 5 is someone that I've talked about, like, I think once on your other podcast. It's Rico Nasty. I think she's absolutely brilliant. I think she's such a singular artist and such a singular voice. Especially the Taco Bella character. For those of you who don't know, it's just a crazy fucking crazy bitch but like I just love her voice. It just has this really lovely, like, natural rasp to it, where it's like, she's a professional singer and and a professional rapper, but it's like the way that she's able to control, like, her screaming sounds like, and even just her normal rapping, it sounds like she just smoked a cigarette right before. And it's really, really cool and really, really good, and such a unique timbre to her as well. Specifically, I'd like to recommend the Anger Management EP, where every single song is a collaboration with Kenny Beats. And Kenny, for those of you who don't know, Kenny Beats produced her first hit, Slap a Bitch, Smack a Bitch. Sorry, Smack a Bitch. The two of them are just magic together, and so Rico Nasty is my number 5.
Yeah, before you shouted out that EP, I was like, well, I gotta bring up Kenny Beats, because like, what, for some reason, once they're in the studio together, she just like found her voice even more, which is dope. I'm super excited to see future releases, hopefully as a collaboration, because that EP is fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
My number 5 is a scrawny little white guy. To change it all around. Hailing from, I want to say Michigan. Jarv. One of the least, maybe the least recognizable person on this list. He is in the camp of nerdy little white kid rap. So take with a grain of salt, depending on your thoughts of that genre. However, the dude's flow is fucking insane. He'll absolutely destroy any fast rap you would throw at him. His ability to flip it and switch it up on a goddamn dime is incredible. I found out about him through a flow competition. I forgot what it was. The definition of a rap flow contest in like 2014. And the dude is wild. His vocal control is insane. He teams up with a producer called Thief a lot. And they have an album together that's fantastic called The Boiler Room, if you need a good starting place. But he's just a lot of fun, super unique sounding guy. Not the most in-depth lyrics you'll ever hear, or most insane unique production, but the good outweighs any of the monotony, and he fucking slaps.
Hell yeah. So, audience, because I'm too lazy to use Google Images, here's what this guy looks like.
A curtain.
Yeah.
Good dude.
Hell yeah.
Good dude.
Never heard of him. That's awesome. I'm excited.
I had to slip one in there that I thought the people might not know.
Did you Did you have like a specific project you want to?
Yeah, the Boiler Room is
The Boiler Room. Oh, okay.
Slackjaw would be like his most insane fast song. But yeah, he's just got a nice bouncy flow most of the time that I also really fuck with.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. All right. Cool. My number 4 is a scrawny little Korean guy.
The white guys of the East. That's a sentence that means nothing, but it's kind of funny to say.
No, the white guys of the East are Japanese.
Fair.
I'm just kidding. But not really. Omega Sapien. I've actually shouted him out on this podcast before, on this one, because he is associated with Bombing Tiger, who did the music video Colo Colo. He's the guy with the green hair in that video. If you watched it, but yeah, he has a solo project called Garlic, and it's amazing. It is, every single song is trippy as shit. It's like, yeah, man, like it's like genuinely weird, especially for like a rap project that he switches to English a bunch, and like it's good. Like his, even though it's not his first language, like he's really good at rapping in this language, and so, I just really respect that he's like, you know, as young as he is, and he is, you know, I think that's the thing that translates through everybody on my top 5 is like they're like entirely unique, even though like sometimes they'll wear an influence on their sleeves. Like the whole package of what they are as an artist is like nothing else out there, and I think that's what I love about Omega Sapien.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I've liked what I've heard from Bombing Tiger, so I'll have to check that solo work out.
You'll know in the first like 10 seconds. You're like, this is for me. Like,
yeah. And I have a feeling it will be. My number 4 is someone who I think has so much potential to drop just like a classic fucking album.
Yes.
But he hasn't quite hit that potential yet. I saw him open for Isaiah Rashad in a tiny venue in Sacramento. And during it, his set was so fucking insanely good and lit, and everybody was like crazy into it, which is great to see for an opener. But it was so fantastic that my friend thought he was the headliner because he didn't know Isaiah Rashad. And he's like, "All right, man, you want to grab some food?" I was like, "That was the opener, dude." But he was genuinely that good. He just brought headliner charisma and talent right to the board. And I've been following him ever since. And that is IDK. He kind of hit the scene with I Was Very Bad, his first like big mixtape that he dropped. He since has had 2 full albums, Is He Real, which I would also recommend, and You See For Yourself, which I would recommend, but a little less so. And he's fucking good, man. He gets a lot of comparisons to obviously like Isaiah and other top dog artists like Kendrick. Super lyrical guy, talks a lot about religion and his upbringing. And it's fantastic, dude. He's a real talented guy. He just needs to stop relying on his influences too much, come into his own, mature a little, and he'll drop one of the greatest albums in years if he can bring it all together. I'm super excited to see where he heads.
Hell yeah. Man, that sounds like an awesome show. IDK and Isaiah. Shit.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude. It was at any Sacramento people listening. It was at Harlow's, which is like just a bar basically. It is super tiny, and so it was just super cool to see.
Hell yeah. My number 3 is a little older than the other people on my list. Even though he's been around for a long time, he's kind of mostly known for his acting. and also known as part of the band Clipping. But yeah, the David Diggs, I think,
Hell yeah.
is just such an amazing talent, like such a brilliant lyricist and writer, and has such an original voice too, and original flow. So I want to shout out the last two LPs by Clipping. Those to me are like some of the best albums of that decade, and also the Blind Spotting EP, where he raps in character as his character from Blind Spotting, and it's really really freaking good. And yeah, he even raps in the movie Blind Spotting. He raps in Hamilton, which everybody knows. But like, if you haven't already, go do a deep dive, because this guy has a really awesome discography already, and he's only in I think he's 40, maybe, I don't know, but he's still pretty young.
Sounds
And he's
about
like
right, yeah.
and it sounds like he's just getting started. So definitely check out David Diggs' solo stuff and his Clipping stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I almost put Clipping on the list, but I was like, I talk too much about Clipping, so I gotta do that, because there's some artists that I do gush about on here coming up, but not yet.
Yeah.
So great pick. Also highly recommend, especially for movie lovers, like Clipping especially.
Yeah.
Just a super cinematic sound, and obviously a lot of horror influence. Duh.
Yeah.
Not a hot take. What is a hot take is a sentence that I'm about to say, though, because I think my number 3 artist is the second most talented person on Top Dog. They are not unknown. They have huge hits and even bigger guest verses. But this man fucking spits, and I think he deserves a little more recognition for his solo work. He can carry a song like nobody's business, and I'm talking J-Rock. I think J-Rock is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Just a super talented guy all around, and I think he's a little outshined by his label mates, namely Isaiah, SZA, and Kendrick. But I think he's like right there in terms of quality with all of them, if not peaking up a little higher. Dude's lyricism is off the charts. Anytime he's brought in for a guest verse, like I said, pretty much outshines whoever song it is a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And he can just fit any mold. Super versatile guy. And his solo work is absolutely amazing. So number 3 is going to be J-Rock.
Hell yeah, dude. Love J-Rock. I unfortunately don't have any Top Dog people on my list, but I also want to shout out Smino.
Yeah, he also narrowly missed my list.
Yeah, Smino's great. Yeah. My number 2 is one that I constantly talk about. I think even when I'm not on a music podcast, I talk about this person constantly, because her music just speaks to my heart, man. It's just really really fucking good, and I think Gray Area is one of my favorite albums of all time. Of course, it'd be weird if I didn't mention Little Sims on it in any conversation. Like, I just bring her up constantly. So I almost left her off this list because I talk about her so much. But yeah, like such an amazing writer, such an amazing producer, and sometimes I might be Introvert or Simbi dropped the same day as Drake's latest project, and dropped the same day as Kanye's latest project. And artistically, I think aesthetically, I think narratively outshined both. It's criminal, the lack of a critical acclaim that she, or not critical, but like, I guess popular acclaim that she deserves, especially stateside. I hopefully, like, after this next U.S. tour, she'll blow up some more. But I can't recommend Little Sims' Gray Area enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Ever since you told me to listen to Gray Area, when I was trying to narrow down my albums of the year list. Um, she's been like, I've probably listened to her song by her almost every week since, because I just fucking love her. She's absolutely fantastic. So a great pick, and I'm sorry I kind of yoinked you in the beginning by saying her name.
No, I don't care. I don't care.
My number two is a lyrical genius. He is pretty critically acclaimed, but I don't think I've ever heard like anything about him from just like regular hip hop fans or much outside of like die-hard circles. But I think the dude is immensely talented, and that's Black Thought. One of the best lyricisms or lyricists around right now.
So good.
The dude is absolutely insane on the mic.
Yeah.
Super consistent too. Honestly, like as far as recommendations go, Streams of Thought, the whole trilogy at this point, I could not recommend enough. Volume 3 is his most recent, and I like it a lot. So if you want a place to start and you don't want to take on an EP and 2 full albums, maybe just jump into the newest stuff. But just a talent all around. He gets some shine, but he doesn't get enough. So big shout out to Black Thought.
Thank you so much for including him, because I felt so bad for cutting him. I was like, damn it. I just have this massive crush on Rico Nasty, so I had to cut Black Thought. But yeah, he absolutely amazing. Freaking Things Fall Apart is just one of the best albums of this century. Yeah. Insane. My number one is maybe the biggest weirdo on this list, and maybe that's why they are not as popular as the rest. But very, very slowly they've been climbing up, especially after a lot of people on the internet have been raving about this person. A lot of people have been kind of a lot of her music videos have been taken off, and yeah, like I'm itching for another LP, man. I'm itching for another LP from Tierra Whack, because like the entire rest of the year will just be ruined if Tierra Whack drops this year a full length LP. But even her only other LP, it's not exactly full length. It's like 15 minutes long, but Whack World is just a perfect loop of music. And it's just so good, and I love how just unabashedly Tierra she is. I think she'll it's like her career is the most unpredictable to me as well, and so I'm very, very excited. I regularly listen to her same songs over and over and over again because it's just so great. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, she's fucking absolutely amazing. Capra Songs is dominated. But Tierra Whack is always going to have a place in my heart.
Yeah.
I don't know why those two I always like pair, Twigs and Tierra, for some reason. But her like series of EPs last year, they all came out 2021, right?
I think so. Yeah.
The R&B,
all December too. Yeah.
Rap, pop, all fucking phenomenal, dude.
Amazing.
So good. And Whack World, obviously amazing. Fantastic pick. Great choice. I'm gonna bookend my list with another scrawny white guy. This is an artist that I talk about way too much. He absolutely dominates the music that I listen to. If you know me, you've probably heard me gush about him at some point. Just a big fan all around. and that's Aesop Rock. Not
I knew it.
ASAP Rocky. Yeah, it was gonna be him. The man's vocabulary is really what he's like known for, and his ability to play with it in his lyricism is absurd. I think on average per song, he averages like twice as many unique words as Bob Dylan, who is already an insane vocabulary. Like the dude is off the rails. He's
Holy
easily there's a site that like logs the first like every unique word in the first like 300 or 35,000 lyrics or something. And he is like far and away the highest. I think the only person that comes close is Bus Driver. And he's still a few hundred unique words behind him. The dude is absolutely insane, but he does good with it. Like every song is also super listenable, albeit usually dense. His production is impeccable, very his own. If you like MF Doom, there's a lot of crossover between the fan bases there for his use of sampling and just his immense vocabulary and fantastic lyricism. The dude is insanely talented. I love and respect everything he does. I was listening to a song today and he actually sampled you remember that Avalanches video I showed you?
Yeah.
The little girl saying "yeah" with the parrot. He has that in a sample, and it was super cool. It was weird to see because I was like, "What the fuck?" Because it's such a defined "yeah" in both songs. It was on Holy Smokes, if anyone's curious. But just a crazy talented guy, and I use this chance as another excuse to gush about him.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Anybody else you wanna just rattle off before we? Anybody that you had to?
I mean, you stole most of mine.
I'm surprised you
like,
didn't have JID.
Yeah, I felt like he was a little too popular right now. I don't know.
Okay.
Because like all of my people are popular.
Yeah,
But he like kind of hit the crossover between like critical acclaim and popularity because he kind of has a that well-loved sound, but he also very narrowly missed my list.
Yeah.
Every song he touches is gold, with the exception of the song he has with Imagine Dragons because it's trash.
Yeah. Like if you asked me 2 years ago, I like the list would have been like Denzel, Anderson, and fucking who else? Who else just dropped? Oh, Earth Gang. But like they're all popular now, so it's like okay, I can't top that.
It's tough. We'll revisit in like 6 months, and then we'll be able to have a whole new list.
Yeah, man.
Like No Name and Rhapsody both were close to making my list.
Right.
But I think No Name's probably too popular too, and Rhapsody, I think I just like the ones I picked a little more. But both fantastic.
Hell yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. No, it's bad review time.
It is bad review time. I was ready to interrupt whatever you were about to say.
Because sometimes I genuinely do forget that you have.
Yeah. Oh, Sam. There's been episodes where I do it halfway through or not at all. But it's here today, boys. It's time for Jared reads poorly written reviews of movies that we're watching because it's funny and it makes them laugh and stuff. Not a lot of great reviews. I guess people didn't run to IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes to rant their minds out. But there were some good ones, namely from anti-Kanye people, which fair to each their own. But this one stood out by Mookus Gookalookadoos.
All right.
Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate, honestly. Calling it BS for simpletons, gave it a 1 out of 10. Applause for boosting even more this douche's ego. Exactly what the world needs. More egocentristic ignorance like this guy. While true heroes and people who should be icons, like doctors, are struggling. People are validating these kind of pricks. GG, humanity.
That's it.
That's it.
Egocentristic was
Egocentristic
perfect.
ignorance.
Dude. Yeah, I mean, there's like 8 documentaries about doctors every year. Like, watch them,
Yeah.
asshole.
And they're also like, most doctors, obviously, some aside, get kind of compensated pretty well. They're not exactly struggling. And I think pretty much nobody's like, oh, you're a doctor? Fuck you. Like, nobody's anti-doctor.
Nobody's like, yeah, doctor, where's your Life of Pablo?
Yeah, come on.
Where's your
It's cool.
Jesus?
It's cool you could do surgery on my brain or replace my heart with a different animals if you wanted and still make it work. But you haven't dropped a gospel album yet, so.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, most of them were just like, Kanye's an asshole, 1 star. So I had to find something that branched out a little. Oh,
Yeah, man. It's interesting that I don't know if this movie really would actually like change anybody's mind about Kanye. Like, if you're gonna hate him and you watch this, you're still gonna hate him. If you feel middle of the road, you're still gonna feel middle of the road. If you love him, you're gonna still love him.
Yeah. Maybe if you hate him, you watch exclusively like the first, maybe half the second episode.
Yeah.
And then you stopped. You might be like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. But Genius, it's the latest blockbuster Netflix documentary. It is both like good and bad that they're like at the top of the documentary. Besides Nat Geo, I guess they're at the top of the documentary food chain, because it's great that that this mode of filmmaking is getting so much publicity. But sometimes they, like, when it's like super generic shit like Tiger King, like, it's like, what's the point if you're just gonna highlight the stupid parts.
Yeah, we should do a review on the Showtime Tiger King, because I feel like there's no way it's gonna be good. Like, I feel like it's gonna be trash.
Oh, the fiction one? They're like doing Oh shit. Okay, who's
it's I don't remember who's playing him. Kate McKinnon is Carol though, which is hilarious.
I'm so excited already.
Yeah, and it doesn't look good.
I never thought it would.
Yeah,
I would assume so. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I keep diverting from the topic at hand. But Genius it follows the life of Kanye West, specifically his relationship with his very first documentarian, Cootie, and their relationship through the making of College Dropout and Late Registration, and then their eventual reunion after Kanye's after Kanye's world takeover as one of the most prominent and influential rappers of all time. And I the movie kind of takes like both a passive and a biographical look at his career and his person, and it's interesting. I don't really know how to like grade something like this, because like Kanye West, this movie has a lot of contradictions. It has a lot of both in terms of style and in content, but I think that kind of makes it more human. Like, even though as a filmmaker, I'm like, I wouldn't do that, but like that's what makes this project unique, is because they make the choices that they make.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it feels confusing. So like the different takes on Kanye West, and then also the different interactions with him directly, kind of make it confusing, but also make it more approachable, make it more accessible, and I think, and make it more watchable. And I'm invested in their relationship and their friendship between Ye and Cootie. I think where this movie shines the most is in the way it honors Donda. I think, and in the way and in the behind the scenes of College Dropout. I think those are my favorite sequences for sure.
Agreed.
And yeah, man, I appreciate some of the styles, kind of both the tape style and the pseudo tape style, kind of making it look like it was all shot on DVR or shot on tape. I think that makes it makes it a little more unique from other Netflix docs out there, which kind of all take the same, like, very, widescreen and very like very, very telescopic lenses for their talking heads. But I appreciate that pretty much the entire thing feels candid. And yeah, there's a lot of content to talk about that we can just dive into later. But overall, I feel pretty good about it. I'm gonna give it an 8.3. I think this is interesting enough, but not like anything mind blowing. I don't see it like cracking my top 10, but I do see it as like probably the best Kanye doc that we're gonna get in a while.
Yeah, or ever. I think we're gonna get a really good Kanye biopic someday, but I think in terms of documentary, this might be the best we get. That said, I don't know if it's good. Like, I think from a filmmaking standpoint, and like namely the editing, it's not that good of a documentary, but
Yeah.
it has a lot of fantastic moments in it and a lot of amazing characters, and it's gripping pretty much the whole time. It does drag a bit. There's definitely some bloat here. You could probably make a pretty tight 3-hour doc, or even 2, and it'd be like fucking amazing. But then you also lose like some of the story too. I agree that I think the Donda and College Dropout sections are the most interesting. The episode 2 where he dives into the car crash is pretty interesting too. But overall, it's all over the place. It's kind of too much of a spattering. I don't think we need any of the stuff that's goes into Cootie's life unless you're focusing on Donda and her influence on Kanye. Then you can tie it back to him and his relationship with her and his parents, and I think it would justify the existence of like Cootie's home footage of just him hanging out with his parents a bit more. Really, all together, I think it should have been a Donda documentary. I think you have a really amazing Donda / Kanye, obviously coming up, and her influence on that. And I think it like would have been incredible. I think that's the documentary that lies within all of this. That said, I love that it's not, because we get to see Kanye like nervously dapping up Jay-Z when they're like barely acquaintances. You get to see like him not break into, but run amok in Rockefeller and just be ignored entirely when he's playing his song.
Yeah, dude.
Like, it's just really cool to see all these moments. So I think if you're a Kanye fan, you'll love this documentary. If you're lukewarm or kind of like whatever on him, you're going to be kind of bored. You're not going to care about a lot of the stuff here. And I think that because of that, it makes it kind of just a not great documentary in terms of how it's made. But it's got a lot of great content, and I think that that's where my inner conflict mostly arises. I'm gonna be a little harsh on it. I'm gonna give it a 6.4 out of 10.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all very fair. Like I said, like this is a very subjective experience, especially with a figure this controversial and with Ye being Ye. I guess we could talk about the editing first. Like I agree that it's all over the place, but and I don't, and I was, because it's the third episode, right, that he talks about his kid, or was it the second?
Yeah, he brings his child up in the second, but the third is where you get like any meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah, I think the third episode could have been cut like 45 minutes or 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think just having, their reunion be the epilogue to Vision and Purpose. I think that would have been amazing. That would have been that would have been much better. But I also really love the editing in episode 1 though. Like,
Yeah.
Especially like you said in the scenes where he's trying to market himself, like there's just this it's like you feel the uphill battle, you feel oddly enough, like you feel Cootie getting like better as a filmmaker as the movie goes on, which is really amazing and really like rewarding to see. Like by the time you get to the Life of Pablo debut concert, like it looks like it should be in an IMAX theater. And like so but I do agree that like content wise it is all over the place, and I think it is. I wonder if Ye himself had like something to do with that, because I know he had some influence on the cut.
He did demand like final cut, basically.
He demanded final cut. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe, but I don't know. I don't know if it was Ye's idea to keep keep Cootie's family in it. I don't know. But yeah, I wonder if the lack of restraint is because of that.
Maybe.
And like but as a filmmaker though, I definitely feel that like it's very, very tempting to not to keep all the shit in that you want, especially for documentary, because like cutting a scene out of fiction you can understand, like, okay, the character needs point A, point B, but like in documentary that stuff happened to you, and this thing is very personal. And I get into that a little bit in previous episodes where I talk about the narrator and the presence of a narrator, and the reasons why filmmakers choose a narrator is because they feel so personal about it. But here, like, even though I understand, I agree with Jared. Like, like you should ease up on the narration. You should ease up on the personal stuff, because the core story of their friendship as Cootie and Kanye, as filmmaker and subject, which is very, very unique, and one of the things that makes this movie so unique, I think is kind of not overshadowed, but we're distracted from it.
Yeah. Like I'm fine with Cootie being in it. Like, him and Kanye's friendship is one of the most interesting things, and it kind of saves episode 3 in a way, because a lot of episode 3 is just like, hey, look at all this crazy shit Kanye did, remember that? And you're just like, yeah, but I don't like, there's no juice on it, because he's not like in the room when they're making My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy as like a rebound for the Taylor Swift drama, which is like one of the most interesting parts of Kanye's like career, especially later career. And so you like have to play with what you have, and all of episode 3 feels like he didn't have anything but the reunion, and so you need like the Kanye Cootie friendship in there, because it is integral to the story, and him getting like too big for them. That scene where Kanye is super drunk and just kind of like blowing him off is crazy interesting to see, and I loved scenes like that. But the cutting room floor is so barren right now. Like, I get you shot for 20 like plus years, and so you have a big attachment and you have so much footage to deal with, but there's no reason for, with the footage he has and the content he has, for this thing to be 3 parts that are all an hour and a half long. It's just so bloated. It felt like the Donda of documentaries. There's fantastic fucking moments all together. There's like really beautiful ideas in here, but you got to sift through a lot to get there, and it's tough to kill your darlings when you're close to something so personal. But you have to. That's what being a documentary filmmaker is. You have to like narrow your focus, or else it's just kind of a spattering. Like you said with your initial review, how it kind of does work, because that's how Kanye's brain works, just jumping from like scene to scene wildly. I think it does work at times, and episode 1 is a big indicator of that. I think it's probably the best altogether episode of the 3. And it's because he has the most footage. Like, that's when he was filming every single day, basically. And so you get like the most prime cuts on that one. And then it just gets like more and more of a stretch and kind of reaching from there. Overall, I don't think it's like a badly edited documentary, but I think he could have used another year in post-production to like narrow it down and like work on the writing, find out like what they actually want to say. Like, is it about Donda's influence on Kanye? Is it about like the uphill battle that he had to do? Is it about rebounding from a car crash? Is it about like friends getting too famous for people that you like came up with? And it's just like barely touches on all of those without like hitting any of them real hard. And I think that's what was most disappointing to me watching.
Yeah, I think if the movie did have a thesis, it's mostly like
just, hey, Kanye is pretty complicated.
yeah, like this is a really complex situation and a complex dude. But I think I would actually like, if they wanted to really hammer that thesis in, I would take out all the news stuff. I would take out all the archival stuff, and just like give us like really long, like slow shots of Kanye, like just sitting there. Like, that would be cool. Like I would honestly like that better than seeing the freaking Taylor Swift thing again, like for the billionth time, you know. But you know, like, yeah, I agree with that much. I think the reason my score is just higher is because I just felt the highs so potently. And,
and it's super awesome to watch. Like, the moments that shine, like, really fucking shine. And there's amazing things that you can only get from like watching somebody 24/7, basically.
Yeah. And I thought it was gonna be his whole life. I didn't know that it was gonna focus so much on early Kanye. And so like
Same.
that was a pleasant surprise to me. And so like College Dropout is I go back and forth between Dropout, Yeezus, and 808. But that's one of my favorite Kanye projects. Through the Wire is one of my favorite songs of all time. So I'm so happy that they spent like 45 minutes on that song.
Yeah. And it's cool to see where the footage from the song came from. The fact that he's taking off the wire and you like don't even notice in the music video is super cool.
Yeah, man. I love it. Cool. Yeah, I guess we can segue into that then. Like, thoughts on the College Dropout, the making of College Dropout, and then after that we can talk about Donda, because I think those were both of our highs.
Yeah. I think the College Dropout holds its weight because you actually see Kanye like struggling, because he hasn't had like a real tough career, like in terms of making it as an artist. Like he kind of worked super hard and earned his place. But like producing for Jay-Z real early in your career, you kind of get a head start. So him transitioning like from a producer to a rapper, super interesting to see because I didn't realize how hard he had it. Like just being kind of discounted as a producer. Every single person who like isn't like part of the, because there's like the core group that we like really follow, and then there's always like Chicago rappers kind of coming in and out. And so it's super cool to see like who just wants him to produce for them. He's like, hey, give me a beat, yeah. Or like there's artists like Mos Def and Jay-Z who are like, this dude's like kind of the real fucking deal. And so it's cool to see like who could pick up on his future talent sooner, and like who writes him off and kind of uses him. I mentioned the scene where he like is playing a song in Rockefeller, and you're like, so many people have done that exact thing, thinking it was going to be their like door to like getting in, and it probably never is using that method. But he still like worked hard enough to get to the place he wanted to be, and so it's super cool to see him reject it. Like the song, I forgot what song it was that he plays for them. But it's a great fucking song. Yeah, All Falls Down. It's a great fucking song. Everybody loves that song. Like it's a classic. And so seeing it like written off, or seeing him like just freestyle or like spit bars off the top of his head or written or whatever, it's just super cool to see like the process of like him making his album, him actually trying to get the chance to show it off, and then the payoff for all his hard work is super satisfying. It's a great section of the doc.
Yeah, man. That whole like whatever 2 hours of the 7 hours, maybe even longer than that, is it like it's so good. Like seeing Pharrell's reaction when he realizes what Through the Wire means.
Yeah.
Like, and his engineer is like, yeah, I got it. Like in the beginning, I thought that was so funny. But like, yeah, man, like Pharrell doesn't bullshit anybody. Like like when he hears greatness, like it is what it is. And and so I thought that moment was so beautiful. And like, yeah, like hearing, like, imagine being in the room and being one of the first people in the world to hear All Falls Down. Like, and these people
and
are
just typing at your desk and nod.
Dude, like, oh my God, it hurt my soul, dude. Because that song introduced me to Lauryn Hill. Like, like I didn't know anything about 90s rap before that song, you know? And yeah, man, it is so good. I thought the like seeing him like do features for Mos and Jay, like that was really cool because like you get to see like the difference between the way they treat him versus the way Dame treated him, and like you like it they're like necessary pick-me-ups too in that sequence, because you're just seeing him lose over and over and over again, and then he gets that tiny little bit of validation. You're like, okay, I'm back. And so I thought those scenes were absolutely lovely. Yeah. Or him like singing the song Through the Wire, like right before the dentist is about to operate.
Right. He's just like humming to himself.
And yeah, I never thought that dental surgery videos would be so uplifting, but I just felt really like,
dude, his dentist is fucking hilarious too. Because like Kanye would be like, could we maybe do this? He's like, no, what the fuck? Absolutely not, you psycho. Like, yeah, it's just great to see like how straight up his doctor is, because I feel like most doctors, especially if you put them on camera, they'd just be like, oh, I don't know, we'll think about it, and then like once the camera's rolling, just be like, no, we can't let you film the surgery or whatever. Yeah, it's just funny. His doctor was great.
I love him. I love him. Have you heard Jamie Foxx's side of the recording of Slow Jams?
No.
He talks a little bit about it. I think he tells the whole story on Graham Norton, and he was saying he was saying that when he was in stand up, he was trying to break into music, and so that's why he built the studio in his house in the first place, was so that he can have rappers over and parties, and then they can come and record in his studio, and then he can help them. So he was saying oh yeah, there's this kid Kanye West. He's friends with Jay-Z, and at that point, he didn't know who Kanye was, and he was just whatever. And so when he did the thing, apparently they didn't show it in the film, but in the first take, Jamie was really doing R&B vocal runs on the Marvin Gaye Luther Vandross line, and then Kanye stops the track. He's like, "Don't do that." And he's like, "But I'm R&B. I got to put my R&B thing." He's like, "No, it's hip hop. You got to keep it simple." And Jamie Foxx apparently was like, "All right, I guess I'll keep it simple." And he thought the song was going to be whack. And then Kanye calls him months later, and he's like, "Hey, that song's #1 right now." And so so it was really cool watching the Slow Jams sequence in here, because Jamie Foxx is being really friendly and being really, but knowing in the back of my head that he thought this the whole time that this was going to be whack. I thought it was just really cool.
Yeah, and that's kind of a theme throughout the whole doc, is people just being like, okay, this is kind of whack overall, and everything he's doing, okay, yeah, you want to be a rapper, just make beats, you're a fantastic producer, why don't you just do that? And I'm guilty of it. Growing up, I obviously I would listen to Kanye, because who fucking didn't,
Yeah.
But I would always say oh, I like him more as a producer than a rapper, and I do still like him more as a producer than a rapper.
Of course.
But he's still a fantastic fucking rapper. I was literally one of those people who kind of doubted him. And so it's so cool to see everybody be like, oh, this is kind of shit, and then the few minds that you can tell are pretty keen on being able to spot real talent through because I'm sure anybody featured in this documentary, even the most no-name early Chicago rapper in the first 5 minutes of episode 1, has probably been sent 600 mixtapes to listen to. And so seeing Pharrell being oh fuck, this dude is legit gonna be the biggest star in the world is crazy cool to see, because Pharrell fucking curated the sound of the 2000s. It was him and Timbaland and Kanye are the big three. I guess the Neptunes, not just him, he was a pair, but still it's just cool to see everybody writing him off, and that's why the early parts of this documentary are so captivating. It's the best part, is just the early days.
Or seeing that sparkle come back into Mos Def's eyes when he's Kanye makes him feel like a kid again, and he's just laughing and jumping up and down when he hears him go off. Oh, that was so nice. So I guess how could you talk about what won you over to Kanye as a rapper, and how that compares to how the people in this doc were won over?
For pretty much every Kanye project I've heard, I've always been first listen, yeah, this is good. I fuck with it. Good, but not great. I'm not going to be going back to it. Even his most acclaimed albums, first time I heard 808s or Twisted Fantasy, or even Pablo, took me a long time to really figure out that I loved it. And so it was just kind of digging in more into everything he's doing. And so for me, it wasn't really the same as a lot of the people in the documentary, because you don't see a progression from Jay-Z being slowly won over. You see oh, he's a great producer. Oh shit, you could spit on a verse too. Immediately once Kanye starts rapping, he's oh fuck. And so like I really had like a different view on a lot of it than Kanye. Like I always respected his talent, but it kind of every project has grown on me, with the exception of some Jesus is King stuff, some Donda stuff, some Donda 2 stuff. It's not even really an album. But that said, yeah, so like I was kind of a slow burn Kanye fan. I was like big on Graduation and College Dropout, and like, not that I was fucking throwing ragers as a 6-year-old or whatever, but like any like a party scene, or like it was like a New Year's Eve thing. Like I remember my parents singing Stronger, like drunk off their asses, dude. Just absolute tarnished as a kid on like New Year's Eve.
That's awesome. Because I thought you were gonna say "Touch the Sky," and I was like, "That's kind of nice," but no, it's Stronger.
It's Stronger. But like those memories are burned in because Kanye's like legacy is so fucking huge. That memory came flooding back to me during this documentary. But yeah, so I was kind of in a different boat than a lot of them.
Yeah.
What about you?
It is also very different for me. Like I'm a pretty like somewhat recent hip hop fan. I didn't really start diving deep into a lot of the big artists until I was in high school, and so knowing that Kanye. I knew, like, of course, like a lot of the controversies.
Yeah, that's always the first thing people know about Kanye.
Yeah, but I didn't, and I had heard "All Falls Down" on the radio, and I liked it, but like I didn't, it never occurred to me to like follow whoever put that thing together. But I think, I think it was just like finding out that he influenced Kendrick and Chance, and then it was almost like a really straight like linear thing going backwards. Like I listened to Life of Pablo, I was like, oh shit, okay, cool, that's where the Yo Metro don't trust you. Okay, so I know that, and the rest of this album's awesome. That's great. And then I listened to the entire discography backwards, actually. And so I hit
all the songs in reverse order too.
No,
so you're like starting with Last Call on Dropout.
No. But honestly, by the time I got to Black Skinhead, I was like, okay, this is great. Like and so, yeah, that is always interesting, the way that like the movie kind of plays out, in the way that he plays out in everyone else's brains. And I think he even starts off the movie that way. Like he's like, I could see he says that he could see greatness in him, but like, no, you were interviewing a dude and you liked him, but then he grew on you. Like, and I really thought that was super unique and interesting. And speaking of unique and interesting, Donda being a major presence in the film, in the documentary. I mean, thoughts on her scenes, on the way she's presented in the film, the way she's edited.
Yeah, I think she's fantastic throughout. Like she's you could tell like how good of a mom she is. Like from the first scene they have together, pretty much it's apparent. And so like just seeing like anytime she talks, like Kanye is just dead ass silent and like taking in every single word, and it makes you take in every single word. And there's like a lot of great wisdom in there. And so it's just endlessly captivating to watch. And like not everybody who knows Kanye, but at this point, most people who are like fans of Kanye knows like, okay, he loves his mama. Like that's one of the like, it's like controversies, influential musician, loves his mama. Like it's pretty close to the top. but like seeing the effect that she had on his music, and like I don't think he would have even really like gone for it as hard as he did without her support. Like she's so supportive. Like it is endless. She's like, yeah, I know you're gonna be like fantastic, but like stay humble. Like a giant doesn't see a giant in the mirror. And so you just like every scene is just fantastic, and you see so much of her in the good parts of Kanye. Like most of the good parts of Kanye like stem from her. And it's just cool, real cool to see.
Yeah, I think if I was forced to do a top 5 of like shots in the film, like, you know, as much as I love that shot of him embracing Cuddy at the beginning of Father Stretch My Hands, like I like that's such an amazing shot, but like the 2 shots of her and Kanye, like those would dominate any list of rankings of the shots in this film. Like,
Yeah.
because of everything that exactly that you said, like, and it's such a narrow lens too, like, and so having it be kind of a really boxy film, and then still like finding room in the shot for the 2 of them, I think is like contributes to the sense of intimacy that you feel between the subject and between the 2 subjects and the filmmaker. And you really do feel like, okay, this camera is like in the room, but like the cameraman is part of the family, and the cameraman is like loves Donda as much as loves Donda and loves Kanye as if he was family. And I really appreciate that about the cinematography in this film, in this documentary. I keep saying film as if it's a feature, but yeah, man.
Yeah. And the Donda stuff really like justifies any includence of like Cootie and his family being a character in it too.
Yeah.
Because you see that like kind of motherly figure that she has, that effect that she has on Cootie. And then that like translates, especially in the third part when he is a father, and like you see her parenting like directly influence his parenting, and like how his parents in that relationship go with him. So without any of the Donda stuff, like definitely cut all the Cootie stuff out of the documentary. It's the only like line that like connects pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate it for that too, because it really grounds the whole film. Like every aspect of the film can come back to the Donda scenes of it.
Yeah. And she has such a beautiful speaking voice as well, such a beautiful smile, and so it's just great. It's just great to have her in the movie.
Even I got emotional in the 911 call when they play that out. I'm like, oh, fuck. I know it's coming, but still.
Yeah. I cried with that one. I cried when I teared up a little bit when Pharrell hears Through the Wire. And then and I forget which one, but I know it's the one where it's the conversation when they're sitting in front of the house and they're sitting on the front porch that he grew up in. I was like, oh shit, this is magic, dude. I love it.
Yeah.
I guess we can compare those early stuff to the later documentation of the recording of what's it called? Kids See Ghosts and Donda. So how did you feel about the way that it was shot and edited, you know, his interactions with Kid Cudi and his interactions with Justin Bieber?
Yeah, they're good. You do see the progression of Cootie as a filmmaker. Like his composition improves. Obviously his camera quality improves with technology.
Yeah.
And so it's still real cool to see the Donda and Kids See Ghosts era like sessions, I guess. Like Kid Cudi in like recording, I don't remember what song he records, but whatever song it was off Kids See Ghosts, like those are great moments. And I do love the parts that we see from like them actually like grinding it out, and there's like a samurai movie on the TV behind them and shit. Just in the.
I'm pretty sure it was Seven Samurai. 'Cause
It was?
That was
Okay.
Toshiro. Yeah.
I was trying to like eyeball it. Yeah, so like it's cool to see, but like without the context of him struggling to prove something, him like kind of doing it for his mom. Like you don't even like when they're working on Donda, there's not a ton of references that aren't like in the post production. Like Kanye isn't like really like speaking on how it affects his tribute to his mom and shit like that. So it's like I don't know, some of the magic is gone in those sessions compared to like the College Dropout sessions when they're recording that, or anytime he's recording a feature, or like when he has Jamie Foxx in the studio. Like it's just more compelling to me to see the parts where he's like struggling more.
Yeah.
And so those were cool, and they were interesting to see. And Kanye being passive aggressive as hell to Justin Bieber, say like, "You see that this is what it looks like when the crew doesn't support you," like in front of the group or whatever he says, which is dick move, but hilarious.
Not
And
as
so yeah, it was
hilarious as
just
texting his producers to go find God. I still think about that. I still laugh about it just when I'm in the shower. It's so funny.
you know, yeah. So they were good, but they were like slightly less compelling. The whole third episode, I thought was kind of a jumbled mess.
I think that's fair. I did think that the way I was kind of watching them was like kind of with a sense of relief, I guess, because
Yeah.
because they are kind of like buoying all the heavy shit that Kanye goes through, and like I think the reason Cootie's putting those sequences in the movie is because he wants to show like okay, he's back to kind of being himself when he's at work. And I understand the inclusion of them, but yeah, I think that's fair that it, you know, because the third episode is pretty messy.
Yeah.
I also thought it was interesting to kind of see like Cuddy and Bieber's like being friends with him, but like kind of knowing when to kind of tune him out, and it it's just weird, man. Like I want I it makes me just wonder what it's like to be friends with him and like sit through that, you know.
Yeah, it definitely won't be easy.
Yeah. And I guess we could that could segue into the ethical part of it, because there are a couple times when Cootie stops filming because he knows that that Kanye's not doing well in the middle of a conversation. And so like I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that. And yeah.
Yeah. I loved it. I think that kind of like self-restraint, especially in terms of like mental illness, you don't see it a ton in documentaries, or at least like made a moment. They're like, okay, I'm actively like choosing to turn the camera off, and I'm telling the audience that that's what I'm doing. Like I'm sure that a lot of documentary filmmakers will know when to shut the camera off, but we don't get to see it. And I think it's super cool. I think it like honestly could be taken note of for Kanye now. Like anytime Kanye blows up, everybody is like, "Oh, you hear what crazy Kanye's doing?" And it's so sad to see because he's struggling, man. And it's very obvious and very public every time he struggles. And so like the world needs to like turn off his camera sometimes and just like let him deal with it and be himself. And like, yeah, so like being such a public figure where every single move is scrutinized, it's super cool to see that like one of the people that's been around him the longest knows when to give him privacy. And so I honestly respect the hell out of Cootie for it.
Yeah, I agree. There, like as much as I, you know, as much as I love the
Yeah,
the
we
Werner-
all want to see it, see the world burn.
not even that, but like just the Werner Herzog thing of just like, you know, go for the craziest possible option and turn that into cinema. You know, some things just shouldn't be filmed, and like I think if I don't think a Kanye hater would watch this, would listen to this podcast episode, or would watch this
Probably
documentary.
not.
But if they did, I think if they should take away anything from it, it's that it's to cut this guy a little bit of slack, because you know, everybody's really positive about like our generation is so supportive of everybody going through like depression and anxiety and all these things, but for like, you know, and I know that the words themselves are hurtful no matter what the person is going through, but and so, you know, the words should be shut down, but like for people who are bipolar like Roseanne Barr and Kanye West, like there's no slack at all for them. And I'm not saying that they are, you know, suffering or that they are poor people in need of assistance. Like obviously they have like a ton of resources and they can get the help that they want. But it is weird seeing this kind of cultural hypocrisy where we fully embrace people struggling with depression, fully embrace people struggling with anxiety. But if someone says something in a bipolar fit, in a bipolar episode that sucks, if they say something that's really bad, there's no mercy. There's no sense of understanding. And so I hope that someone who gives this movie a chance would take that away from here. Just try to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you could maybe justify like still rolling if the context of the film changed. Like if it was, if the focus of the film was Kanye's struggle with mental health, then it's probably okay to keep filming as long as it's not like increasing his stress or his anxiety or his episode, whatever he's going through at that time. But that's not what this documentary was. So I appreciate that he shut it down.
Yeah. And I hope that, like you said, like other filmmakers will take note. Cool. Did you have any other notes about it? Any major thoughts? Anything you wanted to address?
Not really. I think I mostly said my piece. Overall, it was a positive experience, especially like being a Kanye fan and a hip hop fan. Like Chicago hip hop is the shit, and so it's cool to see like the early underground, like from the inside, because you could be doing a music documentary, but like you could tell Cootie is part of the scene. Like he knows everybody. He is like at the beginning on an equal footing as Kanye because he's got all the same connections as Kanye. And so it's like super cool to see it from like an inside source. And so it is still a positive review. I know I gave it a low score. I know you heard 6.43 or whatever I said and was like, oh, this guy fucking hates it and he hates Kanye and this man's never heard Graduation in his life. But that's not true. I thought it was a mostly positive experience watching it. I just think it was a little bloated and messy, but overall I enjoy the film.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely fair, and I don't think 6 is negative. For the folks,
it's
at
above
home.
the halfway.
yeah. Have we ever given anything like in the 5 range before?
I've given some stuff a solid 5, I think. I don't remember everything we've covered at this point. We have too many goddamn episodes. But I think I've given something a 5 or 4 or both before.
Yeah. I feel like my scores are always so extreme.
Yeah. I always tend to hover around like 7. So I'm making a conscious effort to like, because 7's such a cop-out bitch answer. It's like, it was good, but there's problems, you know? So instead, I'm going to do 6 point something.
I I feel it. Anyway, you can check out Jeen-Yuhs if you haven't on Netflix. But yeah, thank you for choosing this. I'm glad, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have watched if you didn't force me to watch it. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad that it wasn't absolute trash. Like, part of me was also worried. I was like, maybe this only got into Sundance because it's Kanye and it's like intimate access of Kanye that we don't see. And so, like, on that merit alone, it could pretty much get a Netflix deal immediately without being good. But I'm glad it was also pretty good.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. All right, audience. Jared's Kanye forever. No, we love you. We love you.
You can't redeem it. You have to. You got to go with the forever one. You're just a Fantano stan boy now.
I'm feeling a light to decent 10 on this episode.
No, it's got Kanye in it. It's gonna be a solid 6.
Solid 6. Oh man. Alrighty. Goodbye.